How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it's Thursday here on the show, and you know what that means? We have a TV deal announced. Man, we were talking about this yesterday. I did a big free show yesterday previewing this, and by the time everybody listened, it was outdated, because the deal was announced pretty much right after we went off the air yesterday. So we'll tell you what AEW got and what this means, and plenty more. It was also the 5-year anniversary of Dynamite. What'd you think of the show last night? Lot to talk about. A lot of big matches, obviously, on the show. Half-hour overrun. I should mention that my YouTube TV caught it all. That's right. We've also got more on something everybody has been talking about. And I have been wrong about this once in the past. We'll see if I'm wrong this time. We're going to talk a little bit about Shane McMahon and AEW. We've also got updates on Sammy Guevara, who was injured last night. The NXT Premier ratings, we briefly mentioned it as the show went off the air yesterday, but we'll talk about it again in detail here. And, of course, we've got the AEW Dynamite TV report. And what we have so far for next week's, get ready, Night of Champions, Battle of the Belt style show. And we'll tell you what we've got so far for that show. And tease, no title matches yet. But anyway, Title Tuesday is what they're calling it, which, by the way, goes head-to-head with NXT on the CW. It's going to be a big Tuesday. There's always big stuff going on, and we're going to talk about it here today on the show. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566. Back in a moment with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Before we get to the wrestling news, tonight is After Dark Radio. Every Thursday there's an After Dark. And I'm going to be opening up the show. I went to the Skagit County Sasquatch something or other this weekend in Mount Vernon. And there were scheduled to be some speakers. And the speakers no-showed. And then it's like a tiny little, out in the middle of nowhere, there's like 30 people in the fairgrounds. It's like nobody knew where the speakers were supposed to be. So I wander into this building, and there's a fella there who's going to replace the actual speakers. Tom Cantrell is his name, and he's like a Bigfoot investigator. And like nobody else showed up. So for 2 hours, I got a private presentation. He showed me all these Bigfoot pictures on his computer. I mean, it's pretty cool. So I'm going to talk about this tonight because this guy makes some really good points. And, you know, it's coincidental that I bring it up for After Dark Radio tonight because all over today, I'm talking it's in the New York Post, it's on TMZ. There's a new Bigfoot video, okay? Have you guys seen this? I'll talk about it more tonight. But suffice to say, I don't buy it for a second, okay? But it's like all over the place today. So, anyway, what I saw on this guy's computer was way better than this alleged Bigfoot video on TMZ and New York.
Hopefully that's the only stuff on that guy's computer.
Come on, Mike. Can you be a professional for once? Now, that, by the way, is available for subscribers, WrestlingObserver.com, as well as YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, if you would like to subscribe and get a new After Dark Radio every week. Bigfoot and UFOs is the topic tonight, which I would say is more interesting than we got to talk about today, but actually there is big news. As yesterday, immediately after the show went off the air, of course, classic timing, we have got the announcement of the new television deal. AEW and Warner Brothers officially announced a multi-year renewal on Thursday. That will keep Dynamite and Collision on TBS and TNT, respectively, and a streaming component on Max. You know, yesterday on Observer Radio, Dave wanted to gloat, and I just didn't want to hear it.
Yes.
But he did it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to gloat here, okay? But I am going to point something out as I read this. Dynamite and Collision will remain in their current homes and networks on both Wednesday and Saturday. Okay? We knew that. Here's Rampage is done, by the way, which we also had talked about yesterday. Rampage is done. Both Dynamite and Collision will stream live on Max if you are a U.S. subscriber of Max. And I'm wondering what they're going to do in terms of commercials. Like, are you going to get the commercial-free version if you pay for Max? Guess we'll find out. AEW content that airs on any WBD network will also be able to stream on Max On Demand. It is quite likely that if you want to go back to the beginning and watch every episode of Dynamite, you're going to be able to do that. And now, I don't think that guy is on Twitch anymore. Maybe he's been RUNNOFT, as they say. But starting later in 2025, AEW and WBD will offer live pay-per-views on Max at a discounted price per event, with all marketing and promotion of those pay-per-view events exclusively centered on Max. Why do I bring this up? Because I tried to tell you for months and months and months that Max wasn't capable of doing pay-per-views yet. And I had certain people in particular that were like, yes, they can. Yes, they can. I watch live things. I said, I'm not talking about live sports. I'm talking about pay-per-view. They don't have the capability to do that. I was told, yes, they do. Oh, it's easy. Oh, I could set it up. That was the one I heard. I could set it up. Have Max hire me. I could get him on. Well, anyway, they're not ready yet, but it's being worked on. And midway, sometime in 2025, when they can, they will offer the pay-per-views on Max. The deal is, according to Dave Meltzer, $555 million over 3 years. Now, as far as what exactly that means, and this is a key point to this here, okay? Everything is fine for at least 3 years, okay? They are locked in for 3 years. Then there are, I believe, 2 option years, okay? If they are picked up in those 2 option years, the number goes up. So the $185 million that everybody is seeing, that is the average over 5 years if they're picked up. I think the actual number is probably around, I don't know, 175, 180 million for the first 3 years, and then around 200 million for the next 2 years after that. But those are option years, okay? So yes, everything is great right now, but the key is this thing needs to stay steady, this thing needs to build, this thing cannot collapse, because if it does collapse, it's going to be a rough go 3 years from now when the decision is made, do we pick them up for even more money for these 2 option years? But for now, for the remaining, or for the first 3 years here, they're making a lot of money. A lot of money. And things are good. So, yeah, I think the old deal was about 90. So, yeah, they doubled. More than doubled if they get into the 4th and 5th year. So, you know, I talked about this a couple of days ago. Yes, up until yesterday, the 18 to 49, where they ranked on the cable charts, very, very important, okay? In 2 years, that's going to be very, very important again. But they are locked in for 3 years. So to me, what is important right now is get more people watching the show. One way or the other. I want to see the numbers going up. So that's the story. Locked in.
Yeah. It's nice to have a friend like David Zaslav. Like I said, WWE for years with Bonnie Hammer was a very important part of being an advocate for them. And obviously, Tony Khan has worked very closely with David Zaslav and has done everything he could to, you know, put themselves in good graces and have Shark Week and do all of those sorts of things.
Oh, let me jump in very quickly and continue.
Sure.
I'm sorry. It is a 4-year deal. It is 3 guaranteed years and 1 option year, not 2 option years. So I apologize.
And, you know, it seems to be good across the board for everybody. Obviously, as long as you live in the United States, everybody listening to us in Canada right now, they couldn't care less about any of this. But Dynamite and Collision airing live on Max, not going to bring in a whole lot more extra viewers or anything like that, but it gives you an option if you're traveling and are away from your area and can't access your provider for whatever reason. Plus, it's great for people who are on the West Coast who want to watch the show live. They don't want to wait and be spoiled by anything that happens. Now they have that opportunity. Pay-per-views eventually migrating over there at a discounted rate since you're already going to be paying for HBO Max anyway. It only makes sense for them to offer you a discounted rate, and it gives every other cable operator out there, which WBD needs. It's not like you hear about WBD doing what ESPN wants to do and break off and eventually, you know, see the destruction of all cable operators and be their own entity. They still need cable operators. And pay-per-view.com, which is owned by cable operators, needs content to put out there. So AEW being an option for them, you know, that is important. And I would assume it's still going to be available on Triller TV as well as places like YouTube TV. Rampage going away is a good thing, I think, for everybody. If that gets replaced by AEW Shockwave on a different network, we can cross that bridge when it comes. But across the board, with the library being added to HBO Max, it's a winner for AEW as far as financials go. It seems like it's a winner for fans in the United States who are fans of the product, and that's pretty much that. And as you mentioned, the ratings do need to increase because they need to create stars and get people watching again and make it must-see TV again for themselves.
All right, so I should mention, by the way, since somebody brought up where is One Bill Phil, I did tell you guys it wasn't $1 billion a long, long time ago. Did I not? Okay. I have an announcement to make. No. Back in a moment, Observer Live.
Welcome to the special tour of Figure 4 Weekly Headquarters, as promised. Today I will be accompanied by my assistant Vincenzo, so let's get moving. Hey, don't worry about it. Today's a special day, I'll drive. Vince, today's gonna be a good day, so let's not F anything up, okay? Now, I'd like to tell everybody, I just want to give a short speech on the way to the compound here today, and that is that we are going through very tough economic times right now. Right, Vince? It's a time of stock market crashing, the yen is devalued, a time of woe and want. And many of you watching this right now, for all I know, are unemployed. But the good thing is, and I always like to look on the bright side, as Vince is well aware, the good news is that for every dark cloud, there is a silver lining. And the silver lining is that Figure 4 Weekly is doing great. It's a huge success right now. Subscriptions are up, quality is down, profit margins are skyrocketing, things are going very well. So, the one thing is that I don't want to make it seem like money is everything, because money cannot buy happiness, but what it can buy is enormous houses, and that makes me happy. So, we will be going to see my enormous house, the Figure 4 Weekly compound, and that's where we're heading right now.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Should note, the next segment, we will be joined by Max Smashmaster. You heard me. Max Smashmaster will be joining us here on the show. We got a lot to talk about with him today. So let's get this news going. Sammy Guevara was injured at the Ring of Honor tapings. Actually, Kelly Madden was as well. Both of them stretchered out. And I don't have an update on Kelly, but I was told that Sammy likely suffered a concussion, but seemed to be okay later in terms of, not like he's headed to the hospital and in the ICU or anything. It's never good when you get a concussion, but multiple people told me that he seemed okay, was the word. The show itself, 2.5 hours. It's a long show. And I think I need to talk about at least 3 things. First, and I don't know what's going on, okay? So this Blackpool Combat Club deal. So Jon Moxley has been speaking in riddles, okay? And they did a segment early, and then they came out after the main event, and they're setting up Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson. And Jon Moxley does his promo. And he says, none of this is about me. None of this is what I wanted. I am fighting for something much bigger than myself. If any of this was about me, I'd have put you out of your misery years ago. And then Excalibur said, who is forcing Moxley's hand in this? Okay? So, this has led to all sorts of speculation that Shane McMahon is behind all of this. Okay? Now, this is what I can tell you. I can't tell you he's not, okay? But, there was the Shane McMahon meeting with Tony Khan that got captured surreptitiously. There was the meeting. Shane happened to run into Mercedes Moné. Mercedes did an interview like yesterday saying, I hope Shane McMahon comes to AEW. The Young Bucks just happened to be on an airplane with him. And so, everybody is they're all running with it, okay? Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you that Shane McMahon is not going to AEW, okay? I don't know that. But I do not believe that there is any deal done between Shane McMahon and AEW. I believe 100%, okay, that the Young Bucks and Shane McMahon meeting was a coincidence. I believe 100% the Shane McMahon Mercedes meeting was a coincidence. I have had people insist to me that the Shane McMahon and Tony Khan picture was leaked, okay, and that they didn't mean for it to get out. So, number one, I don't think they're shooting an angle that they are that the plan is for Shane McMahon to be involved when Shane McMahon does not have a deal with this company. I don't believe that, okay? The other thing is, just from a fan standpoint, have you been watching these Blackpool Combat Club videos and angles and everything? And have you seen, Shane McMahon's character? How would these things fit together? How? I mean, I don't buy it for a second. I don't know if Excalibur was told to say that line. I don't know if he just said it from listening to Moxley and what he was saying. But I don't think that Shane McMahon is behind this brand new Blackpool Combat Club. Hey, listen, I didn't think he was coming back 8 years ago or whatever to WWE, and he did. But I don't think that's what's going on here. I guess we'll see.
Why can't you see it with Shane McMahon's character, considering he fancies himself a fighter, with the quick shuffle?
His character is like the rich kid. He does a silly dance. He goes back and forth like this. I mean, come on.
You're remembering the Mean Street Posse version of Shane, but since that time,
comes out to the music and dances every time.
Yes, he does. Of course he does. Hector Macho Camacho would do that as well, too. People come out and dance during their entrances before their fights, but this is the guy that pushed Raw Underground. This is the guy that wanted to buy Pride. This was the guy that was interested in buying UFC and doing all of this stuff. So to have a dark force of Moxley to be the leader of a group, I'm not saying that I'm endorsing it or I think it's going to happen, but I think you can portray Shane in that form. Now,
he's a comic book character. He's a cartoon.
Well,
this BCC is serious, deadly serious.
Yes, well, if Shane McMahon wearing all black is the benefactor, and we find out later on that the interview, he tried to be nice to Tony Khan, and then he let the information out, and that's the problem with this company, and you know what? We need to bring this back. That's why this thing needs to be fixed, and maybe that's why Moxley was nice to Jack Perry and didn't beat up the Young Bucks. Remember, he walked by them. And maybe that would give a reason for the Young Bucks being vice presidents to actually have some gravity to it. So it's a lot of fantasy booking, but as far as putting him in and inserting him into something with Moxley or a group, I could see that.
Not going to happen.
I don't think so.
We had Will Ospreay and Ricochet for the international title. And, the match itself, it was funny because they used to work differently than they both work now, 6-7 years ago. But the fans wanted a match between the two of them from 6 and 7 years ago, so that's what they did. It was like a video game, all sorts of nuttiness and crazy high spots. And then I did not thing with this show is I didn't like some of the finishes on this show. So the match is, great. And then they do the double pin finish. Ospreay hits the hidden blade, falls on top, but both of their shoulders are down. And so it's ruled a draw. And the fans are furious. But listen, hey, sometimes you need to do a draw, okay? So I would have ended it there. I would have had both guys want 5 more minutes, and then Takeshita comes in, kills him, and like there's heat on Takeshita for ruining this. But instead, they wanted more time, and so the Tony Khan character said, this match will continue. So as soon as you do that, now you're kind of telling the fans, okay, you are going to get a finish. Like, we gave you a non-finish, but this match must continue, so you're going to get a finish. Well, they went about 90 seconds, and then Takeshita runs in, and now we got a DQ. Now the fans are really furious. So I would not have done it the exact way they did it. I was okay with a draw, and then somebody, screws it up so there's not a 3-way. But the way they did it just felt like once you restart the match, now it's like you're promising the fans something, and then you immediately screwed them.
That's not the end of the world, but it is one of those little things that could have been made better just because of doing that.
But it was a great match. And then, obviously, the main event was the Bryan Danielson-Okada title versus title match. And again, like the match itself, it was really good. I would not call it like a great match. They were not, both of them were not at their best here. But the story was, both titles are on the line, but the Continental title's only on the line for the first 20 minutes. And nobody is allowed to interfere only for the first 20 minutes, because then it's not Continental rules anymore. So, first 20 minutes, they do a match, and as soon as that ring announcer said, we're at 19 minutes, the fans started to get upset. And so it ends up going 20 minutes, which means the Continental title is no longer on the line. And then they lost a lot of the heat because the fans knew, all right, well, Danielson's going to win. I mean, he's not winning the Continental title now, so he's going to win the match, which is exactly what happened. They had Pac and Claudio come out. Okada's distracted. Bryan hits the backslide for the pin. And then afterwards, the heels go after Bryan, and Wheeler runs down to make the save, and they set up a tag team match. So the thing to me about this was that Moxley promo at the beginning of the show, it was so bizarre. It was like all they did was talk about Moxley and Bryan at WrestleDream. They didn't even mention... It was like they were in a universe where this main event never got booked. It was not acknowledged in any way. It was like, I'm coming to the pay-per-view, and I'm going to kill you, Bryan Danielson. And so then they do this match here, and, it's exactly as we said it was. And they do the angle afterwards for a tag match at the, whatever they're calling it, Title Tuesday. But there's no titles on the line. And this is leading to WrestleDream. And to me, it was a match put together because they wanted Bryan and Okada again. And, man, I don't know. So I talked about it yesterday, like, what's the storyline with Daniel Bryan? Is his next match his actual retirement? I mean, I watched this match, and, man, this guy is beat up. He did the run-up-the-ropes backflip. I mean, you could tell when he landed, his knees are killing him. He did some other spot, and you could just tell his knees were killing him on that spot. Like, his neck is messed up. I've been told by people that, like, it's not like his head's about to fall off that bad, but this guy is so beat up, and he's just a complete physical wreck. And they're playing it up like his first loss, he's never going to wrestle again. And AEW has always been big about stipulations. That Cody stipulation, never challenge for the AEW title again. And, Bryan himself in his promo, as we talked about yesterday, flat out said his full-time career would end. But the announcers are pushing it like his entire career is over. He will never have another match again. So I don't know what's going on, man, but he needs to go home for a while. He's wrecked.
If he's truly in that bad a shape as you say he's in, then yeah, the loss should come sooner rather than later. Get sent home, and what that can also do is provide a lot more heat onto Moxley and this group, and because he said he was going to do something with Danielson, and he would have done it.
Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Granny, what's happening? What do we got for the wrestling report here today?
Talk or something.
Talk or something.
So Niven comes in, jumps on Bailey with her overweight body a couple of times, doesn't mind playing dirty. leaves Bailey on the mat in lots of pain. I found this book. It's called Limericks from the Heart.
Is this a Lanny Poffo book?
Let me finish this one. This guy's name is Lanny Poffo. And there are 335 pages in here. Can you guess what it's about?
Smoking.
Oh,
Sean the Wizard.
have you read it?
We read it every week for about 6 months.
When I first started.
Wow.
Why don't we start reading some questions, and we'll see if we can spur some answers out of Granny. Shall we try?
No, I don't think so.
Let's try.
Then you'll really find out how dumb I am.
Granny, did you know there was a wrestling bear?
No, and I don't care.
All right.
It's a bear that wrestled people.
I still don't care.
Okay.
Is Granny frozen?
Granny, you frozen?
No, I'm ready to read my report.
Your picture is frozen.
It is?
Yeah. Or you're doing a great job as a ventriloquist.
Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, or whatever his last name is. Paul Newman is watching this match. And he's not on Cody's side. What's the matter?
Absolutely nothing. Everything's great.
You know, Cody did say that he was looking for a manager. I think him and Paul Newman would be a...
What a handsome pair.
Yeah. A dashing duo.
That guy's a movie star, isn't he?
Since you're on the phone, why don't we just jump right into your wrestling report and such, and then we'll let you go and we'll do Facebook without you.
Can I lay the phone down and can you hear me?
You can try. Why don't you give it a shot?
Okay.
Oh, boy. It's going to be a disaster. I can already tell.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. That's all right, I guess.
Go ahead.
No, it's your segment. You're gonna read
us jokes?
or your wrestling report or whatever. I see Granny has now put the phone back up to her ear.
I'm just, for now.
Do you have the soaps or anything else, Granny, or is that it?
I want to quit for now.
Okay. Well,
No more.
instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. Trying to look at some numbers here, but let's do what's important. Max Smashmaster's joining us here today. Max, how you doing?
Radio?
You are live.
Radio?
Yes.
Live? Hold on. Let me turn up the radio so I can hear myself.
No, turn your radio off.
Turn it up. Honey, turn it up.
Hey, Max,
All
are you
right,
the man behind the new...
hear myself. Sound good.
Are you the man behind the new Blackpool Combat Club or what?
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm here. It's me.
Wow, where have you been,
William
brother?
Rigo the second.
It's been a long time since we've had you on this program. How are you doing?
Good. I'll go back into my normal human voice. I think the last time we talked, it was during the pandemic, and I had bought a wrestling school, which is a horrible idea when there's no one able to wrestle. And I think that was the last time we chatted.
Good Lord, it's been a long time. Now, how are you doing? I know for a while you had retired. Are you back, or what's happening?
I am back, more part-time than I was before. I had a bit of a heart condition, but the doctor said it was okay, so why not beat myself up a little bit more and put more stress on my wife,
So what happened with the heart condition?
I mean, if you want me to get into it, I had AFib, so technically I'll have it for the rest of my life, but I'm not in AFib, which is basically one of your valves doesn't pump the right way in your heart. I was supposed to have a match with Zack Sabre Jr. WrestleMania weekend. I found out I had this. I found out I had blood pooling in my heart and wasn't able to pump it out, and that could have led to a stroke. So I had to cancel that match, and that's really what happened. But medicine and taking better care of myself is what's saved me. So,
I got to ask,
yourself, everyone.
It's funny, like from when I was a little kid, it's always been about, man, you don't want anything wrong with your heart. Like if something goes wrong with your heart, you will die. But then you get a little older and you really start thinking about it. And it's like, well, if something went wrong with my kidneys or my liver or my brain or pretty much any organ, you need pretty much all of them. You know what I mean? But it's always,
they're pretty important.
Yeah, they're all kind of equally important, even though you think that, like, well, without your heart, you would be dead. Well, yeah, without your kidneys, you'd also be dead, or your liver, or whatever.
That's where the feelings come from,
Exactly. But, the other thing is like, my grandmother had a massive heart attack a couple of weeks ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, she's fine now.
I saw the picture.
Yeah, it's crazy. She's fine now. But the point is, like, when it happened, it's kind of like, man, just out of nowhere. And then you talk to her, and it's like, oh, man, I felt horrible, like, all weekend, and I felt like she had all these symptoms that she didn't tell us about. So, like, for you, because sometimes you hear the story about, oh, so-and-so had a massive heart attack, and, like, they were running, just fine. And then later you find out, well, actually, they had all these symptoms that they didn't talk about. What did you notice leading up to your diagnosis? I mean, were you, like, feeling terrible?
I'll tell you. This is great. So, when your heart goes pump, pump,
yes.
pump, pump, mine would go like this, pump, and then it would feel almost like a flutter, like it was trying to do something, like it was almost having a seizure. And I said, oh, that's probably not good.
Like every beat?
Oh, all day.
Oh, man.
It would get one good pump, and then it wouldn't. And then I was like, I'll see how long I can last with this. Maybe it'll go away. Maybe I'm too stressed out at work, whatever it was. Well, it didn't go away, so I had to go to the doctor.
Man, oh, man. And, I seem to recall you thought maybe it had something to do with chops.
I just said I wouldn't take any more chops.
Well, sure, yeah. You certainly don't want to. Don't have Dolph Ziggler drop 9 elbows on you in succession. That's a bad idea,
That too.
Yeah.
That too.
Nobody's suggesting the Ox Baker heart punch or anything, but when you talked about finding out right before you were going to face Zack Sabre Jr., how long before the weekend did you find out, and who discovered this?
So my wife made me go to the doctor, which is understandable. But all the travel was booked. I was flying down to Orlando. I can't remember what year this was, probably 2016. I was going down to Orlando just to have the match, maybe 2017. I can't remember when it was, but yeah, it was maybe 2 weeks before, and I had to pull off, and Quackenbush filled in for me on that match because, it was very short notice.
Now, you obviously worked for Chikara, which was a very unique promotion, and now you have also created a very unique promotion.
Yeah. So I started a company mainly because obviously I love Chikara. I love my time there. I love the fan base and that kind of just a world unto itself. I have a pro wrestling school, the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. It's, the lineage dates all the way back to Killer Kowalski's. We own the rights to the Killer Kowalski School of Professional Wrestling name.
Wow.
So I have students, and I wanted to give them as many opportunities to do new things when they're, starting out their wrestling career. We have Chaotic Wrestling, which has been around for 22 years. That's a mainstay in New England. Our students debut there. That's their home promotion. But we've been fortunate enough to do so well that we started another promotion, which is my promotion, which is called Rad Pro Wrestling. And Rad Pro Wrestling takes place in 1995.
Oh.
And the reason I did that is that it's a universe unto itself. All the characters are unique. I had Colt Cabana come in and play a basketball character named Harvey Dunkelman, the Dunk Master. I have Little Mean Kathleen, who's a wonderful wrestler out of the Northeast, very funny, very entertaining. She comes and she plays Roberta Gingersnap, the grizzled gangsta granny. So everyone comes in and plays a unique character, and they get an extra rep doing something new and fun that they wouldn't be able to do elsewhere, as well as, hey, if you fail here, it's not your real character. It's not really going to step on the toes of your, day-to-day persona or brand, as some people like to call it.
You know, we had a anniversary show, and for the Brian and Vinny show, and I went back and we did the show exactly like it was 2005. So I found all these horrible mics, and I didn't do any compression, and it sounded like atrocious, but it was a show from 2005, and people loved it, and it was a lot of fun. I found some shirts, I actually still have shirts from 2005 that I wore, and it was fun. So
I wish I could fit into a shirt from 2005.
well, so with your promotion with Rad Pro Wrestling, I mean,
Yep.
how 1995 are we talking here? I mean, is there a lot of neon? I mean, do you go all the way, or is it just the vibe of 95 where you got wacky characters and such?
At the beginning of the show, we do a quick little time travel back. We pick some sort of nostalgia, trigger where we go back in time to 1995. All the music is from 95. Next year it'll be 96. We actually started in 1994. So it progresses naturally. And then, our website is straight out of 1995, radprowrestling.com. I painstakingly put together the roster page to look like a Street Fighter 2, so you pick your character, they're a cartoon, and then it pops up as the wrestling character. All the characters are based in 1995. We do our best to not do any references or music or anything that would show you that it is, 2024. So we do our best. It's difficult, but we do our best to make sure it has the essence of the 90s.
I'm looking at the website right now. It is amazing.
Is it hosted on GeoCities?
It is.
I tried to. It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, this is total 1995. I mean, there's a lot of neon. I mean, it looks like actually looks like my public access TV show they did in 1995. In fact,
Good. That was what I hope. And I've never built a website, so I figured if I built it, it would be like a GeoCities site.
Sure. Now the question. I guess the question about the action, because there's a clip here of a guy doing an acai moonsault. I mean, is nobody allowed to do Canadian destroyers because they had not been invented yet?
Yes.
Certain things, yes. The pile driver is illegal. Channing Thomas, who's a wonderful wrestler, he plays a character named Angelo Intellect. He's an android. And he gets upgraded every show by his, I guess it's manager, Sidney Bacabella, who plays Wally Dangus. He's the computer genius.
Excuse me, Wally Dangus?
Wally Dangus.
Shouldn't it be Willie Dangus?
No, his name's Walter Wally.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Don't be crude. All right. And so
don't be crude. You've got the break room here. I'm looking right now at a team called the Break Room. You're telling me not to be crude?
What?
What do you mean, what?
The break room.
Yes, this is very crude. Guy's name is
his
Todd Doodoo.
Todd Doodoo. Come on,
stop.
don't be rude.
Stop. Anyway, go ahead.
And he glitches out every once in a while, and he hits the pile driver. And I believe he may be going for the Rad Pro Championship at our mainstay show in December, which is Forever Rad 95. And last year in Forever Rad 94, I had Todd Pettengill do the
my Lord,
the rundown for the show.
Oh my God!
I was gonna say I had to ask. I gotta ask this: how many people from 1990 have Christian York and Joey Matthews? Are they going to be there in a ladder match and all these other things we saw back in 1995 on the Indies?
That seems early.
I am working so hard on getting Crowbar to be Devin Storm. I need to have him commit so he can come in and be Devin Storm for me. Yeah, so I'm working on it.
This roster page here, I mean, yes, they are. They're all about 8-bit graphics. They all look like Filthy Tom Lawler to me, but it doesn't appear any of them are. And there's also a character in the upper right who appears to be dead. Rest in peace, it says.
He came back to life. That's Anthony Green. He plays a character.
He's
the
back to
American
life?
Love Cat, Kit Sage.
I know Anthony Green.
He was pile driven by Angelo Intellect, and he lost one of his 9 lives. Yes.
Oh my God!
You have the ghost of Dennis Corluzzo and Tony Rumble show up. You never know what could happen.
Too soon. Too soon.
I can't help but note that you have 3 officials listed at the bottom, and if I didn't know any better, they're all the same guy with a different haircut.
Well, that's what officials are. They're different heights. You can't tell by the little image that's there.
Okay, all right.
One of them is a lady.
Well, I do see the lady, but the 3 guys, it's like, that's the same guy. It's just that guy's got hair, that guy's kind of bald, and that guy's completely bald.
I'm
but
doing my
otherwise...
best, Bryan Alvarez. You think I can just make all these graphics?
Well, I didn't know if maybe they actually were the same guy. That'd be clever.
Why don't we turn back time and have you?
You had
go up
3
there.
referees, and like they're all the same guy, but they each have a different wig.
I need
That
you
would
to
save
go
me
up
some
and
money.
defend the
That would
TV
save me
title.
some money on refs.
Yeah, you had 2 Hebners in the 90s.
The ICW, whatever it was, TV title. Why don't you go up there and defend that? And you can go through the gauntlet of referees, Brian.
The ICWA Texas
Yes.
Arcana television title. Well, I'm
Yes.
injured, and I'm old, and I'm retired. So, off the table.
No. When
I'm not
you
paying
step
for
in
that
there, you're
flight.
back in 1995 shape.
Not to mention, the only thing I do is chops, and Max doesn't want to take any chops.
Oh, well.
No, you can wrestle someone else.
Well, who wants to do that?
Well, LMK's about your size.
I only wrestle people I trust at this point.
Oh, you don't trust my students. I understand.
Which is very. I've wrestled plenty of students, Max. No offense. I would much rather wrestle you. Stand by, everybody. Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
Can we please have the Clippers?
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. The great Max Smashmaster is joining us. Just had your former partner on a couple of weeks ago. Fine gentleman.
My brother.
Yes. But we got 2 minutes here, so let's get some plugs in.
All right. First, if you need to be a professional wrestler or you want to be a professional wrestler, go to New England Pro Wrestling or New England Pro. Damn it. Why am I messing this up? NEProWrestling.com. That's the New England Pro Wrestling Academy professional wrestling.
Did you say NEProWrestling.com? NEProWrestling.com.
NEProWrestling.com.
Gotcha.
NEProWrestling.com, New England Pro Wrestling Academy. If you want to follow Rad Pro Wrestling, first check out the website, radprowrestling.com. Go to the Instagram, at Rad Pro Wrestling. Go to the Facebook, Rad Pro Wrestling. And if you're on Twitter, if you're still on X, at Rad Pro Wrestle, RASSLE, not wrestling there because I messed up the first one, had to redo it.
Oh, God. You know, I had a great idea during the break, Max, which is one of these days Vinny and I need to review one of these shows.
Oh, boy, I'd love that. That would mean the world to me. And if people want to watch them for themselves, they can go to IWTV.com and watch it on Indie Wrestling Television.
Yeah, check it out, everybody. There's 2 seasons, it looks like, the 95 and the 96. And you can
94,
follow
95.
94, 95, I apologize. And you can follow along as they travel through the years. RadProWrestling.com. Max, I want to thank you so much for doing the show today. We're totally out of time, but I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll do this within 4 years like we did last time. But
Thank you.
All the best. And that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.